Hello and welcome to Big Red Journeys. I'm your host Big Red, and on today's journey, I got something very exciting. We're here at the San Diego Library, just steps away from Petco Park, because we're going to be talking baseball, specifically history making baseball. Traveling exhibit hosted by the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum is having a special traveling exhibit here at the San Diego Library, free for people to check out now until May 31st, talking about the brave men of Black and Latino color who came and broke the color barrier with their respective MLB teams, obviously starting with Jackie Robinson with the Brooklyn Dodgers, down to 1959 with the Boston Red Sox, who were the last team to integrate. So excited. We're gonna go up to the 8th floor where this exhibit is being held at, and I'm so excited for all this baseball history. So if you care to follow along me in this journey, let's go. Okay, so it looks like the exhibit is on the 8th floor in their baseball research collection. Elevator's right over there to the left. Is pretty cool. Apparently, they have a bunch of different things: microfilms, baseball periodicals, books, DVDs, and everything from the Baseball Hall of Fame, as well as the Negro Leagues. So that's pretty cool. That's in conjunction with this whole 8th floor is just dedicated to baseball. I'm going to be in for a treat. So let's go up there. Okay, here we are in the 8th floor. Now this is amazing. So the exhibit itself is just a few panels on this side. There's a double-sided panel on that way. And then that is the entire portion of the baseball collection research library here at the San Diego Library. So we're going to check this all out. Very, very excited. So remember, this exhibit highlights 16 men of color that have Black and Latino heritage that broke the barrier all the way from obviously Jackie Robinson with the Brooklyn Dodgers all the way to Boston Red Sox, which was in 1959. Do remember that there was obviously less teams back then, so there's not as many as we do have now. And it talks a little bit about the history of the player themselves, just as right here behind me, Carlos Paula, a Cuban-born baseball player who broke the barrier with the Washington Senators in, I believe, 1954. So a little history about each one of them, and I do know that there's some touching upon Johnny Ritchie, who was one of the greatest baseball players for the Padres. He was, this is before the San Diego Padres were the professional team, but back when they were a minor league team of the PCL. I'm actually wearing a jersey, not his jersey, but of the style that he would have wore. And then we'll check out that exhibit back over there too about the collection library here of baseball here at the library. Well, let's start off over here at the beginning, where we talk about Andrew Ruby Foster, who was the gentleman who established the Negro National League in February 13th, 1920. So again, the exhibit called Barrier Breakers from Jackie to Pumpsie, celebrating the years of 1947 and 1959 of these 16 brave men who broke the color barrier in MLB. We're going to start a little bit before the integration of baseball, talking about the cultural change and shift in thoughts here in America, talking a little bit about how some of the Black community is starting to create a voice for themselves, eventually getting all the way down to 1945, when there was an actual U.S. Representative, Vito Marcantonio, representing East Harlem, New York City, introduced a House Joint Resolution 173 to investigate racial discrimination in Major League Baseball, thus creating the catalyst of integration in baseball. Including some pictures here. Here's some activists for the desegregation of baseball. We have famous actors such as Paul Robeson, former Negro player, Cool Papa Bell. Look at this picture there of Branch Rickey with Jackie. Branch Rickey, of course, was the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, who was the one who finally integrated baseball with Jackie. Some people say it's because he had a heart. Some people say it was because of a political or, marketing stunt. Whatever the case is, thanks to that gentleman, whether it was positive or negative, he helped to integrate baseball with Jackie. Oh, here we go. Here's some picture of Mr. Jackie Robinson and Larry Doby, who a lot of people don't realize he was actually the second player to integrate into baseball with the Cleveland Indians shortly thereafter Jackie. Jackie obviously gets all the press from the beginning, but Larry didn't have it any easier himself. And they both served in the military during World War II, as many players did back then too. Negro players played they played in leagues across the world, as well as served their country when their duty was called. But 1 year before the integration of baseball with Jackie with the Brooklyn Dodgers, we got a new era in baseball. Now we got a lot more Negro players playing minor league baseball in the field teams. Gentlemen such as John Wright, of course, Jackie Robinson, Dan Bankhead, and Josh Gibson. Josh Gibson was for many considered going to be the person who actually probably would have integrated baseball first before Jackie. But unfortunately, he had health issues and actually died in January of 1947 before the new baseball season started. So he actually probably would have been the first African-American player in baseball. Now we're in 1947, the first season of integration. We're going to start off with Jackie Robinson, April 15, 1947 with the Dodgers. A couple months later, Larry Doby with the Indians. Hank Thompson 2 weeks later with the Browns. Willie Brown again with the Browns. And then Dan Bankhead with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And there's good old Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier with the Brooklyn Dodgers, April 15, 1947. It was just amazing. So when he took the stand, took his position at first base, on game day there were 26,000 fans in the stands, and over half of them were African American. 14,000. That's amazing. That would definitely be a moment I would love to have been alive and see personally. Now next we have Larry Doby, who broke the color barrier with the Indians, July 5th, 1947. Not obviously he's recognized as memorable as Jackie Robinson was because he came in second, but very famous and important nonetheless. Never played in the minors, went straight from the Negro Leagues to the majors. Just shows how good of an athlete he was. But then a year later, the legendary Satchel Paige joined him, and they together helped the Indians win their last World Series in 1948. And there's Satchel Paige and Larry Doby sitting next to each other. Mr. Hank Thompson broke 2 color barriers. First one in 1947 with the St. Louis Browns, then in 1949 with the New York Giants. He was actually a gunner in 169th 5th Combat Engineers during World War II and fought in the Battle of the Bulge, was actually earned the rank of sergeant. And then him with Monty Irvin and Willie Mays were the first all-black outfield in the majors for the New York Giants in 1951. And there they are right there. After the 40s come the 50s, and now the prominence of these players are growing. Here's a wonderful picture of Jackie Robinson and Roy Campanella of the Dodgers participating in the Harlem YMCA's Rangers Day camp. Here he is teaching baseball to some youth. Monte Irvin broke the color barrier with the New York Giants July 8, 1949. Actually was a Ford-Tool scholarship recipient for University of Michigan, but unfortunately did not accept because he could not afford to move to Ann Arbor. That was unfortunate. He actually walked onto the field as a New York Giant in his 30s on July 8, 1949, but he was a really respected player, especially in the Mexican League. He was actually the Mexican League batting champ with a .397 average in 1942. Sam Jethro broke the color barrier with the Boston Braves, 1950. Nicknamed the Jet for his amazing speed, born out of Mississippi, and then grew up in East St. Louis. The Cleveland Buckeyes were his Negro League team. An amazing fact, he actually only played for 3 seasons, but he was successful in suing the MLB to collect pension payments due to a discriminatory act that prohibited players from collecting pensions before 1947 for that of the color of Negro League players. One of my favorite players ever, Minnie Minoso, Cuban-born player, broke the race barrier in 1951 with the Chicago White Sox. Had a very, very long career. Actually, his final game was back with the White Sox in 1980. Played several years. There's a good look at a New York Cubans jersey. That's the Negro League that he played with before going to the Sox. Even actually continued to play and manage in the Mexican leagues through the 70s. Went into retirement, then came out of retirement in the late 70s. Again, that's where he did his last couple stints with the White Sox until the very end in 1980. A couple art pieces here by Hobrecht Sports Arts in conjunction with the Jackie Robinson Museum, Library of Congress, and Negro Baseball League Museum. A few pictures here dedicated to Jackie Robinson, or I should say a few paintings, talking about the struggles that he had to face while trying to break the race barrier in baseball. This one I believe is extra poignant. Look at the letters that are here, calling him obviously every word you can think of derogatory towards him, death threats to him and his family and everything. The bravery that Jackie and others like him had to face during these turbulent times. Very inspirational. Then we'll continue on to the other side over here A wonderful view of downtown San Diego, and even got a beautiful view of Petco Park. I believe you can actually go up to the dome area and get a really nice view, and we'll see if we can do that a little bit later. Here we have Robert Price, played with the Homestead Grays, integrated with the Philadelphia Athletics in September 13, 1953. Earned Rookie of the Year and MVP honors with the Ottawa A's in the National League and was selected to the All-Star team there. Didn't play much long in the majors, but he did have a stellar career in the Mexican League with the Mexico City Reds. Lovable Mr. Cub, that Ernie Banks, played with the KC Monarchs in the Negro Leagues, and of course, didn't earn the name Mr. Cub without playing for the Cubs for many years. Integrated, broke the color barrier with the Chicago Cubs on September 17, 1953. Ended up having a 19-season career, 14-time All-Star, 2-time National League MVP, 2-time home run leader and RBI leader, and a Gold Glove Award winner, inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame in 1977. And when he was still around, was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama in 2013, who of course is from Chicago, originally from Hawaii, but is a huge Chicago sports fan. Ooh, a little love here, a little extra love to Tom Alston, breaks the color barrier with the St. Louis Cardinals April 13, 1954. The reason he gets a little love is he actually played with the PCL Padres before breaking the color barrier with the Cardinals, so a little love to him. Unfortunately, had a little bit of a short playing career due to some health and medical issues that he was experiencing, so only played 3 seasons in the majors, but had a pretty stellar career in the minors with the Padres. Now going into the mid to late 50s here, here's a cool picture of Hammer and Hank Aaron, who did not break any color barriers, definitely broke a home run record, and I still consider him the home run king. Barry Bonds, asterisk, that's all I'm saying. But here he is eluding the tag at home, and he is safe. More players are now playing with some of the teams that have already been integrated. Don Newcomb on the cover of Sports Illustrated as he plays with the Dodgers. Willie Mays, of course, say hey Willie Mays, with the New York Giants and later San Francisco Giants. You got Roy Campanella, Don Newcomb right there. Mr. Kurt Roberts breaks the color barrier with the Pittsburgh Pirates April 13th, 1954. Played with the KC Monarchs prior in the Negro Leagues. Oh, this is interesting. Actually mentored famous Puerto Rican player Roberto Clemente, taught him how to cope with the pressures of racism and how to deal with the prejudice he endured while playing with the Pirates. And his first at-bat with the Pirates, tripled against Philadelphia Phillies starting pitcher and future Hall of Famer Robin Roberts. Look at that. For the Reds, Nino Escalera breaks the color barrier with the Reds in April 17th, 1954. Didn't have much of a career, only played 1 season with the Red Legs, and I always love it when they call the Reds the Red Legs. People think it's red because of the color of the jerseys. No, it's because of the socks that they wore. They were the Red Legs. Starting off here with Chuck Harmon, broke the color barrier with the Cincinnati Reds April 17th, 1954. And there are some pictures of him, known as Chuck the Glove Harmon, number 10. And look at that. He was safe at the plate. And then there is a replica of his jersey that he would have wore with the Indianapolis Clowns of the Negro League. Now, I did notice that all the jerseys are authentic to the style of the player back then, but they are modern replicas or modern authentics because that's Ebbets Field flannels, which I actually personally own a few of these jerseys. Very good quality jersey. Earlier of Carlos Paula, Cuban-born player, born in 1927, died in 83, broke the race barrier with the Washington Senators, September 6, 1954. Elston Howard, he broke the color barrier with the Yankees in April 14th, 1955. And he played with the Kansas City Monarchs. The jersey of John Kennedy, who played with the Kansas City Monarchs, broke the race barrier for the Philadelphia Phillies in April 22nd, 1957. A very gifted athlete. Apparently, fun fact here, he didn't actually start playing baseball until after graduating from high school and made a pro career out of it. Here's Mr. Ozzie Virgil, who broke the barrier with the Detroit Tigers June 6, 1958. A Dominican-born player. Fun fact about Ozzie Virgil. Past his playing career, he was actually a coach for the Giants, the Montreal Expos, and even my beloved Padres from 82 to 85. Even in the managing teams of Dominican, Venezuela, and Mexican Pacific Leagues. Here we have Pumpsie Green, who is the last player to break the color barrier with the Boston Red Sox, July 21st, 1959. A native of Richmond, California, played in the PCL, and then the Red Sox picked up his contract in 55. Due to pressures that the Red Sox were facing from fans, that they were the holdouts for the not breaking the race barrier, they finally let him play a few years later in 1959. And they were the last team to integrate. And due to the great efforts of these gentlemen here, players of color are now being recognized as some of the greatest athletes of all times here. If they don't have a career necessarily in baseball, they had a career afterwards, some in politics, management, owning businesses. Baseball was kind of a way for them to get their voices heard for themselves and their community. Obviously, Hall of Fame inductees as well too, Bud Fowler, John Buck O'Neill, Minion Minoso. There's a Buck O'Neill there being honored at the Hall of Fame annual softball game that they do there. Is that the Wiz? Is that Ozzie? That sure is. That's the Wiz, Ozzie Smith right there. George Brett, Ryan Sandberg, all Hall of Famers. A little bit about the actual Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, located in Kansas City, Missouri. Definitely have to go there one day for sure. And not only was Jackie obviously the one who broke the color barrier for baseball, but we also have some very famous players who broke color barriers in other sports as well too. Here we have Frederick Douglass Fritz Pollard, born in Chicago. Broke he was the first of 2 black players to compete in the NFL in 1920. The other player, Robert Bobby Marshall, from 1920 and 1924. Broke the color barrier with the Akron Pros in 1920. Back then, the NFL was only known as the American Professional Football Association. So, oh, and look at this. He had the dual role as the Pros co-head coach and running back, as was the Hammond's Pro head coach in 1923. So he played double duty. We have the NBA's first player, Earl Lloyd, Chuck Cooper, and Nathaniel Sweetwater Clifton. And then a gentleman who I personally have met and had the great honor to see, Mr. Willie O'Ree, the NHL's first black player, Canadian-born hockey player, played in the minors, even played with the San Diego Gulls as well too in the Western Hockey League, but he got his chance with the Boston Bruins, played there. And a fun fact about Willie O'Ree is that he actually lost the vision, 95% of his vision, on his right eye, because he got hit by a puck 2 years earlier. This is, of course, before they started wearing helmets and visors. So he would actually play winger, because that way he can still see the puck and the players with his good eye, but then have the boards to the side of his body, so he didn't have to worry about what's on the other side, because it's just the boards. I'm really loving all the old-timey photos here of some very famous players. I love it when you have multiple teams gather along, the camaraderie, the respect that they give each other. You know, just amazing that these guys all experience the same difficulties, the same struggles, and the same love of the game. And here's a list of all the black players who appeared in the Major League games from 1947 through 1959. Interesting here, MacPhail's failed case. So apparently there's a gentleman named Leland Stanford Larry MacPhail, who was commissioned by New York City Mayor LaGuardia in 1945 to do a commission concerning the integration of baseball. So here are some of his terrible points that he made about why Negro players should not make it into the majors. Even some of them, few if any players could qualify to play in the major leagues. Come on now, we already know that's not the truth. But of course, that's why he failed. And some, again, after post-baseball careers, some were statesmen, such as Jackie Robinson here was actually heavily involved with the civil rights movements during the 50s. Oh, and there's Stan the Man Musial with pitcher Sam Toothpick Jones. And here we have a couple of banners dedicated to Mr. Johnny Baseball, that Johnny Ritchie, who broke the color barrier in the PCL with the San Diego Padres of the Pacific Coast League minor league. 75 years ago, he was a catcher, San Diego boy as well too, born in San Diego, went to San Diego High, and amazing the things that he did here. Born in 1923, his father, William, actually was one of the a star of one of the earliest local color teams, the 1906 Coast Giants. And he was apparently his brother was also a very talented athlete as well too during the 1920s. But apparently he did not want to actually try out to play in the Negro Leagues. But it wasn't until a childhood friend of his convinced him to try out and ultimately said, hey, if you don't make the team, I'll buy your bus ticket back, knowing that he made a safe bet. In 1947, we all know Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier for the MLB, but that same year, Richie won the Negro American League batting title with a .369 average. But of course, because we all know that statistics for Negro Leagues were not as complete as they are today, or for MLB purposes, he most likely had a higher average of about .378 or .381. That same year, they signed Richie to a contract, and the next year, in 1948, Richie responded with a .323 batting average. Crazy. Even said of Padres owner Bill Starr said, we believe we have signed one of the finest prospects in the country. Died in 2003 at the age of 80. He ended up being actually a bust made of him in 2005. And I've seen it. It's at Petco Park to this day. It was hidden for a while inside one of the Budweiser loft, one of the kind of party venue areas at Petco Park. But then it was brought back out to public display here. And you can see it at the Breitbart Hall of Fame area, and there's the bust right over there of Johnny Richie in a pose as his catcher position. And then over here on the same floor where the exhibit is, they have a little research collection about baseball, both of San Diego baseball, all the teams right here, of course, for you to check out. I see things like Baseball Digest magazines, quarterly reviews, Sports Illustrated, things about what we got here. The Yankees, the Red Sox, the Mets. We got the little book of Yankees Evil. Yeah, pretty much. They are pretty evil, aren't they? They have a photo exhibit here called Phantography, as in like fans of baseball throughout the years, different stadiums. There's a gentleman next to Babe Ruth's statue outside of the outfield in Yankee Stadium. And, oh, there's a Roberto Clemente right there. You got Edgar Renteria signing a huge glove. You got the KGB, the San Diego Chicken, with the original Padrettes, which were kind of like a fan cheerleader group, in a way, kind of like the origins of the Pod Squad that we have today now with the Padres. Okay, the Brooklyn Bum, because of course the Brooklyn Dodgers were called them bums, and one of their mascots was a natural bum. Mr. Padre himself with his two kids, and Anthony, who actually ended up having a baseball career of his own and now is a baseball announcer for the Padres on the radio, and his daughter Anisha, who has a singing career. And then speaking of singing, one of something that goes infamous for the Padres is when we had Miss Roseanne Barr, famous actress, comedian, sing the Star Spangled Banner, and of course that came down as one of the worst renditions of that song ever. Oh boy, I'm sure many Padre fans would like to forget about that. Oh, some old classic magazines here. I see Colors of Willie Mae. Got Jackie Robinson. Got the Yankees, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle. The Yuma Spring Training Facility, the Ray Kroc Baseball Complex, where the Padres would have their spring training baseball until they moved to Phoenix. Or Peoria, I should say. Got Dave Frelsbean. Oh, look, this is cool. It's a behind-the-scene photo of the photographer for Topps Company taking a photo of him in his pose, and there is the actual card himself of that particular pose that they took. So cool. Oh, that's cool. The 1981 Padres in front of the Star of India, the museum, the Maritime Museum. Dave Winfield signing some autographs for some fans. Oh, wow, look at that photo. That's one that I need to have. One of the greatest baseball managers of all time, sitting right next to Joe Torre. There's Mr. Padre getting some warm-up bats. Oh, he's shooting a baseball video here. The Braves' unofficial mascot, Chief Nakahoma, which of course was not the PC, so you definitely can't have that mascot nowadays. The 1978 Padres taking their picture in front of the San Diego Mission de Alcalá. You can notice some noticeable players here, such as Randy Jones, Raleigh Fingers. Oh, is that Gaylord Perry? That is Gaylord Perry right over there. Winfield will be in there as well too, and I believe Ozzie Smith. And then over here, there's a little case here talking a little bit more about the PCL Padres. Here is a jersey from that same year, but more specifically talking about Mr. Ted Williams, who is my favorite baseball player of all time. Local San Diego kid here, native son of San Diego, went to Hoover High, was a standout in high school, and then signed with the PCL Padres before making his way, of course, to Boston for the Red Sox. Served in World War II and then came back to the Red Sox to finish his Hall of Fame career. So cool. Yeah. Old vintage hat there as well too. I'm a Padre watcher button. I definitely need that button. Pretty cool. Oh, and there's a young Ted Williams shaking the hand probably of the owner of the PCL Padres back then. So cool. And that's going to do it for our journey here at the San Diego Library. Such a wonderful exhibit I had. That was amazing. I actually kind of got a little choked up a little bit in certain aspects too. Just imagine how these guys went through, you know, the racism, the death threats, the turbulations, being kicked in, not being able to sleep with their own team in the same hotel, eat at the same diners and restaurants, and yet they still did it, all because of one reason, for that of love of the game. So if you did like this video, do me a huge favor, give it a big thumbs up. Second, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, you haven't done so already. And third, hit the notification bell. Also follow me on social media at Big Red Journeys on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram for even more content. So from me to you, thank you, and then I'll see you on the next journey. Bye-bye now.